Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh. Call Halloim Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who do rule well. Salutations to the true and sincere Akim that's out here preaching and teaching his truth and truth sincerity. This is the brother Tazayar coming with another sit-down lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. And I pray that this lesson be edifying into the hopeful elect that's out there listening to wherever part of the four quarters of the earth you may be, man. And without further ado, man, this is another sit-down lesson going into the law of the spirit. And this time it's going to be about the works. All right? And, you know, it's a beautiful thing to do this work and serving Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, man, putting these lessons up, going out there on the highways and the byways, presenting your bodies as living sacrifices. You know, these are all essential things to the building of the ministry and the maintaining of, of being in the spirit. You know, serving Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai in truth and in sincerity, man. And I want to say on the flip side of it, however, you know, it's about also doing it in the right spirit. You know, not just doing this thing for lip service or, for eye service of men and, trying to get, the top profit reward, like this is a real thing, man. We serving Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, for our lives, for our souls, and to help those who are around us, man. This is not a thing where, Jake just doing it just to say they did it or, just to come off like they know, everything or anything like that, man. This is to be edifying and to be, a pillar of light to those of us who are lost and that needs help. You know what I'm saying? To come back to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. We're literally building up the third temple of Jerusalem right now, man. The house of David. Okay? And so, with building the Lord's house, man, we want to do it with love. And we want to do it with sincerity. We don't want to do it just because, if I don't do it, then, I'm not going to be a part of the brotherhood or, hey, which, you should be obedient, to the apostles and the elders that's above us. But like doing it where, you're doing it for the love of it and not, doing it and then putting up, shabby work. You wanna put the work up for the Lord the way He can see that you put your heart in this thing, man. That's what you want, man, because that's what's gonna save us in that time, man. The Lord seeing your sincere efforts, into doing the right thing, serving Him, how you would want to be, like how you would want your lady to serve you, with love, man. It's a difference, I'm going on a little rant right now, forgive me, but the elder brother Mathathia, who come from Chicago, that's currently right now in Iowa, he used to talk about the way brothers would cook food, and how you can taste if a man put the love in the way that he prepared the dish, versus if a man just put it together, was like, here you go your food, and you want the Lord to taste that love, man, in the food that you're preparing. So without further ado, man, this is going into the sincerity of teaching this word. And that was just 5 minutes of me, talking, but I want to try to get the understanding of where my spirit is at with this, man. So this is Luke chapter 18, and I'm gonna start at 9. And it reads, and he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. Verse 10, two men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. The Pharisee, the Pharisees was the ones who had all the laws, man. They was the law masters. They was the ones that knew or supposed to have knew the scriptures in and out. Right. And the publican, he was a tax collector, somebody that was kind of really despised because of his job, because he had to go and collect taxes for Caesar, or whatever ruling kingdom was ruling over us at that time. Verse 11, the Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And I'm going to stop right there. There's nothing wrong with what the Pharisee was speaking on, because, this is showing what dedication, to doing what's right. But it was the spirit that he came into. He even said, I'm not even as this publican. He compared his righteousness unto another man's righteousness, man. And, this man may have been able to do those things that made him come off to be who he is, man, to be able to tithe and to be able to, fast and pray as he had, he was probably in an element where he could do those things, man. And then he boasted of himself in his own works, And then as he boasted in himself, he casted down another, And that was an ugly prayer to the Lord, man. That was unacceptable to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Verse 13. And a publican standing afar off will not lift up so much as his eyes unto the heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. So the Lord is not dealing with, men that's putting themselves above the Lord's program, man, because they feel like they're performing the acts of the Lord perfectly. As if they don't sin, anytime, in between or out between of that, like, Jake, you still falling short. So, as the scripture says, no man is going to be able to lift up his head in the presence of the Lord, man. No man is going to be able to lift themselves up in the presence of the Lord, because the Lord, he's going to reveal all things unto you. But this brother, the publican, he had a humble spirit. He had a very humble spirit. And it hurted him to hurt the Lord in what he was doing. To the point where he was crying probably to himself, because I put myself in that brother's shoes and I could feel the hurt. And the fact that you're so frustrated for not being able to be the man that you want to be in the spirit to the Lord, that you shed tears behind it, And so, he was abased while the other man exalted himself, And this thing is about giving your all and doing so with a sincere spirit, man. Not to be one that's over people because you think you are all that, man, but to do it because, hey, you want to help sincerely. You want to help others and you want to do right. This is Mark chapter 12, and I'm going to start at 41, and it reads, And Yahushua sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. And that's the point, man. For some men, they can give more, man. They can do more in this thing, man. And do that mean that it's more than those that's giving all that they have? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. See, because the Lord, he's dealing with the quality, and not the quantity. He's dealing with those who are sincerely giving all that they have. Not someone that's giving a lot because they have a lot to give. This thing ain't about measuring, a person according to what it is that they have, or what it is that person can give even. It's about measuring the sincerity of it. Is this person doing this because they sincerely want to be righteous? Is they sincerely wanted to serve Yahweh Shem Yahushai? They just, trying to do it for their own belly, man. And a lot of these cats, man, they out here doing it to be seen of men. And in that day, man, they're going to come to the Lord saying that we prophesied and we healed and we did this and we called on your name. And they're going to say a lot of these things, man. But the thing is, a lot of these cats, they're not really doing it in sincerity, man. And in that time, man, they're going to be calling on to the Lord. And the Lord going to say, Get from me. I never knew thee. Thou who worketh iniquity. Because the Lord not dealing with people just because you have an abundance. He dealing with you because he see the sincerity in you. And that you trying, man. To do the right thing. And you giving your all, man. Hey, Romans 12 say what? That we're presenting our bodies as living sacrifices, man. Hey, what you doing is hey, if you giving what you can, it's a sacrifice, man. And the Lord, He'll appreciate those who give it to Him in a sincere spirit. All right. This is 2 Corinthians, it's chapter 9. And I'm gonna start at 6, straight to the point. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. It says, every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. So God, the Heavenly Father, He wants He wants you to be a cheerful giver, as He said, man. Not doing this thing grudgingly, not doing this thing out of necessity or because I have to, you know, but doing this thing because you sincerely want to, man. All right. When you come to serve the Lord, you come to serve the Lord with a ready heart, man. A ready heart, a willing heart. Okay. You don't come serve the Lord just because it's a necessity and you just drop a plate of food in front of him and you didn't put no love in that food that you cooked for the Lord, man. You take your time and you give the Lord something that he want to eat. Present to him something that's right, man. You know, you don't just play with the Lord with serving the Lord. You give the Lord what he want, man. You want to be treated a certain way. You want to be done a certain way. Then you do right by the Lord then. And you will get that. You know? But if you bullshitting, hey, then you going to get your reward. You know? So with that, man, I want to give all praises and glory and honor and worship to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. I want to say double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to the true and sincere Akim that's out here teaching this truth and truth and sincerity, man. Then I want to say shalom, brothers. Continue on pushing, man. And when you give to the Lord, man, give bountifully, man. Give with a joyful heart, man. And the Lord is going to increase. You believe that? I believe it through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. Say shalom.